Hi guys, Hari here, doing another first-person pod. This is actually going to hopefully at least be the second time I've recorded this all the way through. The first time I recorded it without realizing that Audacity wasn't actually picking up my mic, some random bug with my mic actually not working. It wasn't the mute button, I know that's what you guys might think, but I swear the mute button was not pressed in, so it's really not, well, it's probably my fault, but whatever. So hopefully this should be a little bit better, hopefully not worse than the last one. Practice makes perfect, right? So we're going to get right into this. I see a Bat Rider first, maybe a random, maybe a pick, so I asked if he's going to go mid, because if he's not, I'll be happy to take a mid hero, but then Pudge is picked, and I know that Pudge will go mid. So, in this case, I think I'm going to go into the jungle, because, well, Bat Rider can pretty easily solo bottom lane, or, well, yeah, not top lane. Bat Riders really shouldn't have to solo the long lane in a pub 2 versus 1, but can certainly solo the bottom lane for the Radiant here, and that means I can go into the jungle. Also, with Pudge pick, I'm going to hope that he's a pretty decent Pudge, which means he's going to be, I don't know, what we would say entertaining the team, the opposing team, keeping them busy certainly, so that it should give me some time to farm, and we don't really have a carry picked at this point with 3 picks, so I feel like a jungling carry is a good choice. There's also Ursa, but I think Nyx is just a better choice than Ursa. I certainly like Nyx at this point in the game. Or at this point with how Dota is right now. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's... Well, he can be a competitive tier pick, but generally more as like a counter to Dragon Knight, just because Feast works so well against Dragon Knight's armor. When you're feasting on someone, you don't really care what his armor is. So as far as starting items go, I'm going to get a shield. Shield's pretty much standard for going into the jungle with almost any hero who doesn't have a way to gain control or create creeps like Enigma or Enchantress or something. Then just going to pick up the rest in regen, 1 Iron Branch, just to even out the amount of gold so that I spend all of it. The suggested build I see is 3 Iron Branches instead of 1, but I'd rather just have a little bit more regen. It's kind of an issue of I'd rather have too much than not have enough, because you're as a hero that actually has to tank the creeps while you're jungling, even with Feast regaining some of your life, your life is going to determine how much uptime you have in the jungle. And so constantly having enough regen guarantees that you're just going to keep jungling, which is going to mean that you gain experience and gold faster. So it should easily make up for the extra cost. Just going to come sit here at the rune. Still haven't picked up my ability yet. If I go into the jungle, obviously I'm going to get Feast at level 1 because that's my main jungling ability. But they'd actually like to set up a first blood here, so there's a chance I'm going to get open wounds. 1 point in open wounds early on is just so great because you're going to get the entire slow effect, which is certainly not insubstantial. It's a pretty significant or purged slow type effect. And 1 point is going to give you the maximum amount of slow it's going to give. Leveling it up is only going to decrease the cooldown and increase the lifesteal, which is relevant, but not as important. So the 1 point is certainly big. So anyway, I'm just going to wait to see if Shadow Fiend comes up. Surely enough he does, so I'm going to pick up Open Wounds and charge past the tower, hopefully set up an Open Wounds first to lead into Vengeful Spirit Stun, and yeah, that'll be easily enough now that he's caught in the Rot. There's no way he's getting out of here. Just hitting him, maybe hoping to get the last hit, but certainly happy just to get the assist and set up our mid. Unfortunately the VS got the last hit, but we'll live. So I'm actually going to sit here and leech level 2 off these creeps. I mean, with the amount of regen I have, I certainly could go into the weak neutral camp and just kill it and be fine and then get Feast at level 2. But given that we already got first blood for the Pudge in the middle, I think he'll be far enough ahead that it won't matter too much, and he can live with me taking a little bit of extra experience. So now with level 2 and 1 point to Feast, I'm going to head into the jungle. In this camp here, I want to kill this guy who's attacking and slows my attacks first, just so that I clear the camp faster. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory, though. As far as my build goes, I'm going to max Feast first, getting to level 4 of it by level 7. Feast, first of all, is your primary source of your capacity to jungle, because it gives you life back and kills the creeps a bit faster for you. And then it's also going to be my primary source of damage in the early and mid game, before I get items which can carry my damage a bit further. So we're going to max that. We're going to get 1 point in open wounds and rage. Normally I would get rage at level 2 if I went straight into the jungle, just because having that magic immunity can certainly help in case they come into the jungle to try to gank you. Both of them you can kind of use occasionally to speed up the jungling process by burning a little bit of your mana when you're full. Open wounds and rage are going to help and extend your jungling a little bit, so that's not that big of a deal. But like I said, just the magic immunity can help avoid a gank if they come in the jungle looking for you. You see I position myself here in this camp so that I can actually see the rune. If it is something useful, I could grab it and keep jungling. Like if it's a regen, maybe I wouldn't have used another tango, or if it's double damage, maybe it'll just help me jungle faster. You see that I actually go take a look middle while I'm clearing this camp to see if Pudge has his bottle. He does not have his bottle, and he had like 400 gold, and the courier's not coming to him, so I think it's safe to assume that he does not have his bottle yet, and that I can take this rune. If he did have his bottle, I would let him get it so that he can refill. He's actually asking for another gank mid, so I'm just going to come grab this and go head towards mid. hoping again to basically do the same thing as last time, although it looks like Pudge is playing up a little bit more, so they're probably going to go on him before I get there. Yeah, the stun's going to land. I'm going to try to throw out Open Wounds just because Pudge is so low. Open Wounds is going to give him a little bit of life back, yeah, off of Rot and from his attack there. So the potential it could have saved his life. I don't really know for certain, but it's possible. And then I'm just going to salve him. Salving a pub is always a little bit risky because he could just burn it right away, but there's no enemy in the lane, so it's unlikely. And he looked like he was positioned well enough that he wasn't going to get hit by a creep. Look back just to make sure that he didn't lose it there. Yeah, as far as getting 1 point in Rage, 1 point in Open Wounds by level 4, it's just because 1 point in both of those has a very significant effect. I mean, you get 2.5 seconds of Magic Immunity just with 1 point in Rage, which is certainly not insignificant. And then, like I said, just with 1 point in Open Wounds, it's going to be a significant slow. I'm going to head back this way here because I saw the Catmen in the other strong camp, and Catmen are something I don't really want to fight. Health doesn't matter so much on a creep at this point since Feast works based on their health. Yeah, you see here actually Vengeful Spirit's getting chased, so I'm pinging him, pinging the Pudge, trying to get the Pudge to go up there and help out, but he realizes it's a little bit too late. Could have potentially picked someone off if he had. But anyway, as I was saying, the health on a creep doesn't really matter too much, but the amount of damage they do does, and those Catmen hit really, really hard. I'd also kind of like to avoid the Satyr camps with the 3 Satyrs, because the Satyr champion, or whatever he's called, the guy who has Unholy Aura, hits really hard as well. And then, yeah, just going to keep jungling. It's about time that I can buy my first item now, although I'm, yeah, going to do that actually while I head to this next camp. Just send myself some Gloves of Haste. Gloves are pretty self-explanatory for being good in the jungle, because Feast is my, like I said, what's keeping me going jungling, and with higher attack speed, I'm going to get more hits with Feast, which is going to give me more life back and deal more damage. Taking a look at what's going on top. Nice hook by the Pudge here to catch the Jakiro. It was a well-positioned hook, and he's going to be able to gain 1 strength off of that, as you saw. So yeah, Gloves are just going to make it so that I jungle faster and give me health faster, etc. So the Gloves are really, the Gloves are a good item pick up first, and then basically if I'm farming well, not really getting ganked in the jungle, my team seems to be doing well enough that I don't need to make an immediate presence in the game, I'll just turn the Gloves into a Midas, which will kind of supercharge my farming and help me get to my core items a little bit sooner. At the same time, if I am getting ganked, I'm not farming very well, my team's getting pressured a lot, then I will just turn the Gloves into Treads. Normally when you're making Treads, you want to go Boots first, but as a jungling hero, getting Boots first isn't that important, so I can easily go Gloves first into Treads. Here, the Crystal Maiden's at about half health, so I want to come from gank her. Being a little indecisive, though, because the Bat Rider's a little bit low, so I'm not sure if I want to, rage out of that. I do rage out of the freeze and then throw up Open Wounds just so Bat Rider can close the distance, and I can keep hitting her while she's slowed. Bat Rider flies over and is going to hit her. Unfortunately, the Swarm latches onto both of us, which could mean the death of Bat Rider here. I try to hit his bug for him, but yeah, he's going to get away. I should have maybe hit the Weaver because I might have been able to kill. But yeah, I'm not going to be able now. Shikuchi's away with a health salve, and unfortunately, with the Swarm and the Germinated attack was enough to kill the Bat Rider. So now I'm just going to hang out in this lane real quick, try to get a little life back up by auto-attacking these creeps while they're fighting something else. Unfortunately, the Weaver is going to focus more on harassing me than last hitting, which I don't really like so much. I guess he sees a relatively low target and he's thinking maybe he could kill me, although really he can't kill me because I've raged to dodge Shikuchi, and then I can just turn around and start beating on him and I'd probably be fine. Bat Rider teleports back in so I can leave the lane now. I'm only just hanging there while no one's in the lane because I don't want the experience and gold wasted. He's saying to go on the CM now. So yeah, I get in position to go, and I assume he's going to start moving up, so I head in, but then he says after my ulti. After I've already moved up a little bit, so I'm just going to wait here, and I see the Pudge coming, so it should mean that we can set something up. Unfortunately, the creep wave is going to push, which is going to push them back. I'm going to go try to Open Wounds the Crystal Maiden to make it easier for Pudge to hook, but then the Crystal Maiden stands still anyway, so I'm just going to come over here and get a hit to hopefully get an assist. However, Pudge tries to stop for the last hit there, and gets frozen by the Crystal Maiden, which means I'm actually going to get the last hit, which is certainly not something I'm going to complain about, because it should put me closer to my Midas. At this point, being up 8-3 and having 1,200 gold at 6 minutes, it's a very easy choice to go Midas first. You see as I get to this camp, I'm below half health, so I figure I can just use my ultimate there to clear the camp a little bit faster and regain a significant amount of health, killing one of the creeps instantly, regaining my health, and damaging the other two. Because I don't really foresee needing my ultimate for a little while, I plan on spending a fair amount of time in the jungle now once I get my Midas, and I can farm a little bit more. I head over here to this camp, but then, yeah, either I see or I remember that it's Catmen. I can't remember exactly. I guess I saw there a little bit, and I actually want to wait to kill the Catmen until I get my Midas. There's kind of two schools of thought as for how to use a Midas. Some people prefer using it on weak creeps here, like these 15 to 16 gold satyrs, because no matter what creep you use a Midas on, you're going to get 190 gold from it. But at the same time, Midas actually triples the amount of experience you get from killing a creep. So if you use it on the strong creeps, you're going to get a ton of experience really quickly. And I'd kind of rather just level up quickly. I figure I'll get the gold eventually anyway, but all my abilities are so great and level up so well. I mean, like I said, open wounds, well, some people think it's great leveling it up. I think it's decent. Obviously, having half the cooldown on it at max level certainly makes it a lot more difficult for your enemies to kite you in fights, which is what they're going to try to do. So, I mean, it's certainly good to have it leveled up. And levels in Rage are just amazing. I mean, almost doubling the amount of time you get magic immunity, increasing your attack speed is going to mean more hits with Feast, and hopefully more high damage hits once you get to your armlet. I want to gank this Crystal Maiden again. Unfortunately, the Bat Rider is kind of a little bit low once again, and just use Firefly, so it's unlikely we're going to be able to set something up. So I guess I should just head back into the jungle. Crystal Maiden's just such a juicy target, and you can see she's moving slowly, so it's unlikely she has boots. I see the courier actually flying out to the Bat Rider, though, so I assume he's sending himself some regen, so I'm just going to go kill a camp real quick while I wait for him to get some regen. He actually pings the camp there, so I assume he's going to pull, which is actually a really good idea, because if he pulls, they assume it's a 2 versus 1 lane, so they're going to come check out what's going on, and then we can hopefully jump on the Crystal Maiden while she's exposed in the woods there. So I do have Feast max level now, which is first. I guess you could consider just keeping it 3 points, but I figure might as well go all the way. Like I said, it is going to be my primary source of damage here. Yeah, so I see the Crystal Maiden heading in here. I'm pinging her and going to go on her. Surely enough, she has taken the bait. I'm just going to open wounds right away so that the Bat Rider can close the distance, and then Rage and start hitting her. I use Rage so that they can't really use anything to react on me, and so that I get faster attack speed and some more hits off. I'm trying to block her a little bit while hitting. With Eventual Spirit teleporting in, there's no way she's getting out. I'm just going to kill this bug off me, although it dies anyway. My teammates are going to chase after the Weaver, but I realize that that's pretty much folly, so I'm just going to come back here to finish off that camp that was pulled to get the experience, and then go back to jungling. I see that my Midas is almost off cooldown here, so I don't actually want to take the Mud Golem camp. I'd rather come to the strong camp here, and once again, Midas, a heavy, stronger creep, although a Forest Troll Chieftain, or whatever they're called in this, isn't necessarily the best thing ever. It'll certainly suffice. So now I'm just going to max Rage second. Like I said, I really like getting that extra magic immunity, and especially since I've already maxed Feast, getting a lot more attack speed will mean that I just get more hits with Feast, which is going to mean more damage. Yeah, just checking out here what the Bat Rider's doing. He's just messing around with the Weaver. There's really no reason for me to try to go gank the Weaver. I wouldn't accomplish anything. There's no possibility of us getting a kill on the Weaver. I mean, maybe with the Bat Rider's ultimate we could, but it's unlikely without another stun to set it up. I just check the runes, obviously, for my teammate, and then ping and let him know what it is. Even though I'm sure he's paying attention to it himself, it certainly doesn't hurt to just inform your teammates when you get the chance. Not a lot else to say about my jungling here at this point. I'm getting close to having enough money for my treads. By this point in the game, I should pretty much always have a TP on me. I'm level 8 now, so I can certainly hold my own in team fights, and being able to TP to towers, especially one like top that seems to be getting pressured a lot. With a lot of people up there, it would be nice to be able to TP, open wound someone, rage, etc. So I should certainly have a TP on me. At this point, since no one's using the courier, I should probably send myself boots and a TP scroll. It's always kind of hit or miss using the courier when you play with pubs, because you're not used to what they're going to be like, whether they use the courier a lot or not very much. And it almost always seems like I pick wrong. The times when I use the courier for frivolous things, like sending myself regen, there's like 2 people who complain. And times like this where I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to use the courier. I'm going to let someone else use, or I'm not going to use it for half of something when I can just, get my treads soon enough anyway, and I'm by the outpost so I can buy a TP, and no one uses the courier anyway, so it ends up being irrelevant. I decided to stack and pull here because I see the lane's pretty pushed for blue, and I figured that he would like that. I didn't really want to do it, to be perfectly honest. I would have rather just kept farming, and you're going to see that kind of transitions into, or shows itself in the way that I deal with this camp. My Midas is off cooldown, so I'm going to just use it on one of these Mud Golems because, well, first of all, that'll let me get to my treads, and second of all, I don't want to have to wait for this camp. Although I guess I could have, just since I pulled a stack, the double stack, they would probably kill the creep wave without me here, so I could have just gone to the heavy camp and used my Midas. And then you also see that I send myself treads about 5 gold short of having a TP, and I probably should have just waited 5 more gold and sent myself a TP as well, but I figure I'm by the outpost, so it shouldn't matter. Yeah, and you see my unwillingness to pull transition, or kind of led to me doing a terrible job killing the pull. I actually managed to kill not a single creep there, which is really embarrassing. So in my vehement rage, I'm going to chase down one of these creep wave creeps and do my best to deny him, so that I at least accomplished something with the pull. And then I'm just going to go back into the jungle. I really need to get a TP now. And I'm thinking that, there's all this action going around top. Unfortunately, the tower was just destroyed, so I no longer have something I can TP to, but I really probably should have been TPing up there. if I could have just gotten my Treads first and then TP'd, that would have been great. I mean, Treads is basically the first of my 2 core mid-game items that I need on Nyx. First being Treads, the second being Armlet, which I guess I can discuss now. Well, yeah, see, I do send myself TPs finally, really getting sick of not being able to help my team. Always very important as a jungling hero to carry TPs if you can. So Tread's pretty self-explanatory. Always going to be set on strength, basically, unless I really need the mana, but I probably won't pay enough attention to that in this game. And then Armlet's just an amazing item for Nyx. First of all, because with Feast, you're going to, you have some form of lifesteal, so you can negate the negative health you're going to lose. Yeah, you see there, actually, quick aside from talking about Armlet, I actually was running over here and I decided to stop this creep camp. I didn't realize how low the mid tower would be, but I guess I should have thought about it, because Pudge has been, a really good Pudge, and he's been roaming around and ganking a lot, which means that the Shadow Fiend has actually had a lot of time to sit in the middle lane, nuke down creeps, and then push the tower. And if I'd actually thought about this, I would have realized how low the tower could be, but I didn't spend too much time thinking about it, so unfortunately he did get a tower kill. If I had thought about it, which is kind of a reason or explanation or example, I should say, of why you should kind of always be critically thinking about what you're doing, not just playing on reaction based on what you see in instinct, but, well, I mean, at a certain point, maybe that does become instinct. But yeah, so I should have thought about that, and if I had, I would have come and tried to force the Shadow Fiend out of lane and then denied the tower. Yeah, Pudge finds the Shadow Fiend creeping here. Unfortunately, misses the hook, and that's going to lead to him getting arrowed and some incredible frustration. As you can see, his ping's going out, and there's nothing he can do as he dies, and the Shadow Fiend lives. Regen rune here, but I'm at full health and mana, so there's nothing I can do. I see the Slardar coming over here actually to set up a gank on the Weaver and CM. He uses amplified damage on the Weaver, and the Weaver ults it off right away, so that means the Weaver ult should be down, which should be good for us. We're still going to go on the CM first, though. I'm going to open wounds her. As soon as I get next to her, I'm going to use Rage so that I start hitting faster, just moving and hitting as I chase her into the woods. Weaver's going to chase after the Slardar, but Slardar did do a good job and got amplified damage back up on her, so yeah, gets a great stun there, and we're going to be able to finish the Weaver off as well, which is a nice double kill for me, and going to put me halfway to my Armlet. And then Pudge says that he wants to push, so yeah, I'm going to try to help push this lane. And yeah, going to get back to talking about the Armlet now. Obviously, the downside of the Armlet is that it burns health, but with Feast, you're going to gain that health back, and then the Armlet gives strength, which is just going to make you hit harder and be a little bit more tanky in the mid-game. With the Armlet activated, heroes are quite tanky if you can get it early enough, with this quick of a Midas and being 5-0, I'm certainly going to get a fast Armlet. And then the extra attack speed it adds is obviously just incredible as well, going with Feast. So we're going to try to take down this tower now. It doesn't look like there will be too much resistance, even if they are going to glyph it up. I see one middle and one top, so at most they're going to have 3 here, which leaves us pretty safe. I'm going to try to get the last hit on this tower, which I do, minus a creep, and now I basically have enough gold for my Armlet, so I'm just going to head back into the jungle and finish that off. Once I have Treads and an Armlet, that's basically all I need for mid-game. I mean, it's not all I need. I can always use more items, but that's basically what I feel comfortable with going into team fights in the mid-game, which is just those items. Obviously, in this case, I got Midas too, but Midas is more of a luxury item just if you farmed well or had good setup for it. It's not something I would necessarily consider core. If at this point in the game I was close to having just Treads and Armlet without the Midas, I would certainly be happy with it as well. Yeah, we see Blue's been having some disconnection problems. We're doing quite well, so it's unlikely that he's rage quitting, but that's unfortunate anyway. Looked like Crystal Maiden was going to come in there, and Pudge and I were going to set something up on her, but she actually does not run into the woods, and so instead I'm just going to go back to killing these Ancients, which I've coincidentally stacked unintentionally. Meanwhile, it looks like, yeah, Pudge is actually going to get a hook on this Priestess of the Moon. I'm just going to stand around down here, because the only way she's going to get out of this now is if she tries leaping, and if she does leap, I'll be there to catch her. I ping the double damage rune here, and I'm just going to go back into the jungle. I want to just start attacking some creeps so I can send myself the Armlet while, being efficient. But he insists that I take it, so I guess I'm going to come gank mid with that. I hope to catch the Shadow Fiend here, but since he's blinked, it's probably unlikely that I'm going to get up to him in time, but I'm just going to charge through and get someone. I see the Jakiro, so I'm going to run up to him. I'm not going to use any abilities yet. As soon as he turns around on me, yeah, I'm going to use Rage, so he can't disable me, and then once he tries to run, I'm actually going to use Open Wounds. That's basically the most efficient as possible. Going to dodge the Weaver Wave by ulting into a creep, although I don't actually manage to dodge it, but annihilate the creep wave anyway. Unfortunately, the Weaver just barely survives there, and with the swarm on Pudge, he's probably going to die. Just going to hit her, do as much as I can. I could have maybe raged there to hit faster, and it might have been enough, but I'm not really sure. And then with Mirana and Shadow Fiend as backup, it's time to get the hell out of here. I see that my Midas is off cooldown though, so ideally I'd rather not run to base. I'd like to run and go kill this neutral camp down here. Yeah, speaking of Slardar, as you can see the Pudge is pointing out, Slardar certainly should have had a TP there. If he had a TP, he could have maybe teleported in and turned around that fight. Also, if I'd had my armlet before there, it might have been different. Well, it would have been, because we would have killed the Weaver that first time, but oh well. Shit happens, just gotta deal with it. So now I'm going to run back into base, just because I'm a little bit lower in health and mana than I'd like to be. I mean, I could get the health back from neutraling, but I've got the armlet here waiting for me, and there's some dust, which purple wanted me to pick up, or wanted someone to pick up, so I'm going to take that as well. I'm farming so well this game, I guess, that I decide I don't necessarily need to go and take a magic wand. I mean, magic wand's probably always worth taking. It's only 500 gold, and it's probably going to save your life at some point. It's just such a good item, but I don't really have a lot of slots. I could sell my shield and take it, because I'm not going to turn that shield into anything else, not going with a Vanguard or anything like that. But in this case, I figure, nah, I'll probably get another item soon enough to replace the shield, and I want to have the dust and the TPs on me. So just turning the armlet on here to farm the creeps a little bit, because I can, as long as they're relatively high health, it's pretty safe, because I'm going to gain most of it back. Once they get a little bit lower, you can see I turn it off there. Pudge actually wants to push mid, which I'm not so sure is a great idea here, because the Mirana is pushing top and pretty close to killing the tower there. Pudge does get a hook on the Crystal Maiden though, so I'm going to have to go in. Want to dodge the Jakiro Ice there, then going to turn back around, run through the Macropyre, so I'm going to have to turn Rage on to actually attack something here. We blow up the Weaver quite quickly, and I still don't have to use my Dust. Unfortunately, the Pudge hook doesn't latch on anything. And Slardar did die. Can't tell if that was here or somewhere else. I wasn't paying that much attention to him. And Pudge still wants to push. Yeah, I was looking to TP top. I really like to. I'm even pinging it because I really don't want to just give Mirana a free tower. But I don't want to leave the Pudge here. So I'm, going to be a good team player. Unfortunately, this is not very intelligent because this tower has plenty of health. But Pudge is looping around to get a kill on the Jakiro. I'm going to open wounds to set up an easier hook. Unfortunately, the creep wave came, so he was planning on targeting behind it. His hook was pretty much perfect, and I kind of screwed it up with the open wounds there. Still going to kind of tunnel vision on this guy with armlet and rage. I can probably kill him. Open wounds finally comes back off cooldown because I have on level 14 I have it max as well, so I'm going to be able to open wounds the Jakiro and finish him off. And then I'm going to run to the woods here, hoping to Midas a creep from this camp real quick because I see my Midas is off cooldown. But then I realize that there are no creeps there, so I'm going to come down to this one. I see the Priestess of the Moon. I certainly can't fight her, but I don't want her to know that I'm scared of her, so I'm going to try to scare her off before going into the jungle and hoping that she's not going to turn around. But I do see the arrow fly, which means she actually is probably interested in doing something here, so I just use the Midas, I rage, and then TP out. Except I don't actually have enough mana to do that combination. Maybe if I changed my treads first, which I probably should have done, but I didn't. I'm going to try to dodge the Weaver Wave, but it just barely latches, so I need to get rid of this bug on me right away so that they can't see what I'm going to try to do here if I try to juke them or something before TPing. My team is coming though, so there's a possibility we can turn around on them. I don't have a lot of mana, so I'm just going to try to use it effectively. Here I use Rage to just try to hit the Shadow Fiend as much as possible. Maybe should have opened wounds there instead. Unfortunately, the sun didn't last long enough. He just barely manages to blink out. This really isn't going to end well for us at all. Ulting the Weaver there isn't going to be enough when she has time lapse. So I'm just going to get the hell out of here. No mana left, not a lot of health. It's time for me to leave. Meanwhile, I'm just going to stop off at this ancient camp and kill it. As Nyx, you can really start killing ancient camps from a very early level. Maybe with 3 points in feast, it's probably safe to start taking ancient camps, especially if you have gloves. But in this game, I don't know, there's been a lot of action, so I've kind of been busy and haven't had a lot of time to do that, so I haven't really focused on being as efficient as possible with my farm, so I haven't really taken the ancient camps like I could, but that's always a good thing to do because it really is a nice bonus of gold, almost unique to Nyx. And then, yeah, I see that the bottom lane is pushed to the tower, so I'm actually not going to head back to the base. I'm going to come push this out because I see that the tower is relatively low and I don't want them taking it. Obviously, whenever possible, I would like not to be in a lane farming because I can farm just about as fast in the jungle as I can in the lane, maybe even faster, and I'd like other people to be getting the lane gold and experience, but in this case, when no one's there, I'm going to do it. I couldn't see if that tower was actually low enough to deny or not, so maybe I should have done that. Pudge is going to get a nice hook here on the Weaver, but not able to follow it up with an ult. I do dust the Weaver, but she's just going to ult out of it. The unfortunate thing about carrying dust, which is why I'm never too stoked to get it against a Weaver, because any intelligent Weaver is usually pretty good at dodging dust. Pudge here going to eat an arrow, so I'm going to have to come here and try to defend him. Going to rage and start hitting this Mirana. Actually, no, not rage, just armlet. Generally speaking, when I go into fights, my goal is to open wounds to close the distance, and then as soon as I get right up on someone, I'm going to hit rage and armlet at the same time and start beating them up. I only have enough mana for one ability here. I'm going to use it to open wounds this Crystal Maiden because it looked like she might get away. Unfortunately, the Pudge dies anyway, and they've got, looks like a lot of people coming in, so I'm just going to kill this Swarm Beetle off me so they don't have vision of how low I am when the armlet runs off, and then I'm going to retreat back to this tower. Unfortunately, there's not really anything I can do for the Vengeful Spirit at this point. I wish I had mana to open wounds the Weaver under the tower right there, which is what I tried to do, but I just don't have the mana to do it. Going to turn my armlet on just to try to scare them away, to make them think I'm a little bit tankier than I am. But really, all I can do is teleport out. Yeah, meanwhile, the Slardar is actually fighting in middle with the Bat Rider as well. Yeah, you see I changed my treads to intelligence there just so I can TP out a little bit faster. Yeah, the Slardar could have certainly TP'd bottom, or maybe just come to help out, or maybe, I mean, he's like having a lever follow him around. It's really strange. Later on, I'm actually going to, well, there's going to be a time where I kind of get distracted because I'm trying vehemently to move the Bat Rider back to base when the Slardar has the Bat Rider pushed up in mid or something. Yeah, Slardar gonna get killed there, unfortunately. So yeah, this guy is a little bit questionable in his judgment, etc. Pudge kind of getting angry because of it. So I've made another item pickup here. I went with a Desolator. I mean, like I said, at this point, I wouldn't necessarily consider this part of the core item choices, but with a Slardar and a Vengeful Spirit on the team, we have a lot of negative armor, and you know, it's kind of the opposite of diminishing returns. The more negative armor you get, the more awesome it becomes because it just amplifies your damage so much. And it's unlikely that the Slardar is going to be getting a Desolator because, well, I think I checked his farm a little bit ago, and despite the fact that he's basically not been involved in anything with the team, he has like Tranquil Boots, a shield, and a Ring of Health, and that's pretty much it, like 20 minutes or something. So yeah, gonna get the Desolator myself with, like I said, the negative armor. That should mean that I hit really hard, and that's what I want to be doing. I am going to be a little bit weak because I went for a pure damage item rather than something of strength, although, I mean, going for heart this early on Nyx I think isn't questionable. Another good choice, which is actually getting it brought up later, would be a Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger is really good on Nyx because it makes it so that you don't have to use open wounds to close the distance with an enemy. You can basically just blink right on top of them, rage and open wounds, and then you're already hitting them, rather than having to kind of like run towards them by using open wounds to get them next to you, which is going to lead to them being able to kite you more. The creep saves my life from an arrow. I thought I was actually hit. But in this case, I don't really feel that we have enough backup people that I can trust to be able to go for a Blink Dagger. Gonna open wounds the Mirana here, amplify damage up on her, so she's a really tasty target. If I get a chance to hit her, I'm going to. Pudge Hook is gonna miss. Macropyre there, but we're gonna be able to avoid that pretty well. Slardar gets a stun on the Jakiro, so I'm just gonna run in, Rage Armlet, and hit him a few times, and we do get the kill. Shadow Fiend blinking around here. I want to run away now because we're kind of low, but the arrow lands on Slardar, so I'm just going to run back in, turn my armlet on, hit the amplified damage from Mirana twice, and she melts. And then a nice hook from the Pudge is going to get us a Crystal Maiden kill too. So a nice 3 for 0 is going to mean that we can probably push this tower, which I think is what Pudge is pinging as well. And I would certainly like to do. Yeah, Pudge pointing out that us grouping up together and fighting is certainly a good thing, which is not something I don't support. I mean, this is a 4 versus 5, so in theory at some point we should lose the game, and they certainly have a better late game than us between a Shadow Fiend, Mirana, and Weaver versus just a Nyx. And, well, I mean, we've got a great late game combination with all our negative armor, but I don't know. I mean, who can really count on this Slardar at this point? And like I said, they've got some good late game heroes. I kind of want to just pressure this lane a little bit, use my Midas, etc., but I certainly don't want to try going into the base since they're all up. Yeah, I'm telling them to back off now. And this is actually the point where if you're looking at the minimap, you can see that the Bat Rider is running up here. So this is where I'm like, what the hell? A Bat Rider? Oh, crap. That's Slardar again. So I'm trying to get the Bat Rider out of here. I click him back to base. Unfortunately, he gets stunned by something, and yeah, he's going to get killed. So I'm going to try to run in on this Mirana. Once she does get stunned by the Slardar, I'm going to open wounds and rage and just start hitting her. I don't really want to run into the Crystal Maiden ult, but then I realize that my teammates are getting fucked up by it, so I kind of have to. Even though that's not ideal, I probably should have manned up a little bit more there, but like I said, it wasn't a fight that I wanted to be doing in the first place. I see that the Shadow Fiend is chasing after Pudge here. He did have amplified damage on him, he doesn't anymore, but might be able to kill him. No, I'm not. I'm just going to kind of scare him off a little bit. Fortunately, the open wounds was enough to slow him that Pudge was able to get out of his ultimate and survive. And we were both able to run away. I'm actually looking to go to the Ancients, and then the Weaver appears on me. So I'm just actually going to run back into our base now. So yeah, probably should have manned up a little bit more there. I mean, at this point in the game, I'm incredibly strong with the armlet turned on, but like I said, sometimes when you just don't want to be fighting somewhere, you don't want to encourage your teammates to. I mean, the only thing worse than 1 or 2 of your teammates dying is basically your entire team dying and then them getting 1 or 2 towers. I see the Vengeful Spirit might want to go on the Weaver here, so I'm wanting to help out, but I know there's really no way we can kill the Weaver, so I'm not sure why I'm even worrying about it. He does ult back in, which kind of fills with me a little bit of hope that I chase him for just another second, but to no avail. And my Midas is almost off cooldown, so I kind of want to go use that, but at the same time the Ancients are up, so I definitely want to go kill them. Almost 4,000 gold now, so I can certainly be considering the next item I'm going to go into. Meanwhile, Vengeful Spirit's saying that I need to take the dust in the base, which, again, not that great against Weaver, but with a Weaver and a bottom ult, certainly good. So I pick it up in the courier and try to send it to myself, but I guess that doesn't work. If someone would care to explain to me in the comments how exactly, what the problem is there, etc., if I have to click and drag it to myself, I'd be happy to hear that. So anyway, Pudge getting caught out here, trying to catch the Crystal Maiden out. I see that the Jakiro has Amplify Amp on him, so I'm just going to Open Wounds him, Rage a little bit early with the Armlet on, because I'm sure it's only going to take a couple hits to kill him, and I don't want to get disabled while I'm running up. And then I'm going to chase after this Crystal Maiden. Unfortunately, we're kind of leaving the Pudge to die down there, but the Crystal Maiden just looks like such a juicy target. It's kind of hard to pass up. Turn my Armlet on as soon as I get there. Don't even bother using Rage, although I think it was kind of still on cooldown. Use my Midas on the creep, because I'm efficient, and consider following up here. I don't really have much mana left, so kind of only enough for maybe an Open Wounds. And then, yeah, some weird swapping is going to take place with blinks, etc. So I'm just telling my team to back out. There's no reason for us to be fighting this deep, especially when there's a Priestess of the Moon pushing bottom, and both towers top her up, so we can't even take this tower. Yeah, you see here that the Pudge suggests that I do buy a dagger. Dagger really is a solid item on next, like I was saying. And with the red initiation, with Slarter blinking in and me blinking in, we could really tear up one or two heroes quite quickly. But I feel that most of the late game for our team is going to rely solely on me here, because I don't have a lot of faith in the Slarter at this point. Not to kind of be bashing on this guy, but when you're playing in a game, you make judgments. I don't mean to say unfair judgments, but just judgments about what someone can and can't do for your team, and I'm not considering him factoring a lot into this game in the late game. So, well, I certainly consider his amplified damage factoring a lot into this game, but not necessarily him himself. So I would rather just go for items that are more damage oriented or survivability oriented, lockdown oriented, which in this case I'm going to go for the Basher. Basher's a great item, I think, on next, because first of all, like I said, heroes are generally going to try to kite you, because without a dagger, you're not very mobile. You kind of are, because you have almost 5 seconds of magic immunity, which means you can run at people, but other than running at people, there's not a lot more you can do. With a Basher, you're going to be able to lock down people when you're hitting them with the 80% increased attack speed from Rage for a few seconds. It's very likely that you're going to get a Bash off, which is just going to mean more damage and disable them. Yeah, here I try to scare the Priestess off into catching, into the Pudge catching her. Unfortunately, she has her ult, and I don't have the dust on me because the courier didn't send it to me. So we're not going to be able to kill her. My Midas is up, so I should be using it on a creep here. I think I'm going to realize that in a second or two, hopefully. Or maybe not. I'm just going to kill this creep wave anyway, because it's here. But yeah, so Bash is certainly a nice item, because it doesn't do a ton of damage by itself, but you can kind of see the stun as being a form of damage, because when people are locked down, they can't run away from you, which means you're just going to be able to keep hitting them with that insane attack speed from the Midas and Rage. And I remember now that, well, I don't remember now, I realized when I bought the item that there's a new item that comes from Basher as well, with the Abyssal Blade. So I actually take a look in the shop there to see exactly how it is that I buy that item. And I realized that it doesn't need a recipe. All I need to get that is just to buy a Sacred Relic. So I have almost enough gold, and we're right by the shop here, so I would actually, I double check one more time just to see that there's no recipe, and there's not. So I just want to come kill this creep wave real quick and hopefully buy a relic and be able to get the Abyssal Blade. And I think it really is a great item for any hero that you want to Basher on. Obviously, being able to add that extra 2-second stun that goes through magic immunity is just a great ability to lock heroes down. It's going to take a little bit of practice to get used to using new items, obviously. The first thing is, I'm kind of just looking at it here, trying to figure a few things out about it. But one thing that I don't really pay attention to, at least until much later in the game, is how long the cooldown is. It's actually 60 seconds, which doesn't make me think any less that it's not a worthwhile item, but it just means that there's probably going to be a few instances where I try to use it and it's still on cooldown. Because I'm not always looking at the cooldowns of my stuff when I'm playing. You kind of get a feel for cooldowns rather than actively paying attention. Yeah, here I tried to juke the Jakiro's Frost and end up running right back into it. Really nice there. So yeah, we're going to try pressuring this tower. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Going to ult into the Pudge here because I'm hoping he can land a hook on someone, then I can explode out, which is exactly what happens there. I open wounds the Weaver just because I thought she was going to try to run, but yeah, she doesn't manage anyway. Considered raging there, but thought I didn't really need to, but then ended up doing it anyway. Get a really nice stun with the Abyssal Blade there on the Jakiro, and then managed to just annihilate him between Armlet and Rage. Going after the Crystal Maiden here, should probably turn around and help on the Shadow Fiend, but it's just illusions now at this point. I guess the real one of him got out. So, just going to finish off those illusions. The Vengeful Spirit eats an arrow here, but I'm going to just go up and protect her. Get a really nice Lucky Bash done on the Mirana there, which is going to, yeah, lead into a kill with the Pudge Hook. So some nice RNG there. First or second hit bash, I don't remember exactly. Which is, yeah, another nice thing about having a 2-second stun on the Abyssal Blade is because you can kind of like, alright, so you open wound someone to get up to them, and then once you get to them, then you immediately can Abyssal Blade them, and then you start hitting them, and then because that gives you time to start hitting them with the rage attack speed, then it's highly likely that you're going to be able to get a bash off of that. So anyway, my team's kind of messing around here with the enemies, but I realize that they're soon to be up, and I would like to get out of here before they all are, so I'm just going to try to take down this tower. Shadow Fiend is a juicy target, so I kind of wanted to kill him a little bit there, but yeah, I realize now we definitely should not be here, so I'm going to get the hell out. Unfortunately, just on the very tip of the Jakiro ice there, while I was trying to kill the swarm thing off me. Always want to get rid of those bugs when you're running away, because you don't want to have them have vision of you and see how low you are. Slardar lands a nice stun there on the Shadow Fiend as he tries to come after us, and we're going to be able to get out all safely, except for Pudge, I guess, who died and had to buy back. Just going to come here and kill these neutrals, simply because I can. Yeah, I'm taking another look at the Abyssal Blade now, just trying to figure out all the things about it. I think this might have been the point where I realized how long the cooldown was. Because I think I tried using it one more time there than I could. Anyway, gonna go kill Roche. Really easy for us with the Slardar's Amplify damage. So I use Open Wounds first on him to disable his Nullstone, then Slardar throws up his Amplify damage right away. I'm going to take the Aegis myself because I consider myself the most carry on this team. Sell my Midas now, even though the Midas is still very good at this point because the extra attack speed, which is obviously something I want, especially with a Basher. I feel like it's the least important item, and the Vengeful Spirit wants me to carry this gem around, which is certainly a good thing for me to have. To kind of stop the Weaver a bit more in the Priestess of the Moon ult. Mirana, sorry. I don't think you guys care if I call her Priestess of the Moon, do you? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, here, taking another look at the Abyssal Blade to figure out exactly how long the cooldown is, and realize the mana cost is actually quite expensive too, which is not irrelevant, because as Nakes, you do go through a lot of your mana, even though, you know, none of your spells cost that much. They're all, well, as far as the two main spells you use, obviously the ult, which I don't use the ult very effectively here. Again, just not a lot of practice. Yeah, Priest of the Moon turns around just in time there, so the leap works out really well. And then my teammates are going to chase after her, which is really not something they should be doing. And I'm telling them, yeah, please don't chase, just just push, because chasing this far is just going to lead to the other team coming and helping the Mirana and such, and them dying. I guess the Pudge wanted to cut through the woods and go to top, but he had to know that after fighting the heroes that are chasing after the Mirana there, that it's highly likely that the other team's going to be coming. So I come to try to help out, but then realize, no, they're both dead, and 4 or 5 of the enemy team is there, so there's no point in us fighting. I'm telling Slardar to back off as well, and we're going to have to turn back behind the tower here. One of the downsides of it being a 4 versus 5 is that with only 2 people dead, it's very easy for them to push. I see, yeah, well, I guess I see 4 of them there, but I wasn't paying that much attention at that point. So I think maybe there's a chance that only a couple of them will actually push. So I want Slardar to go, but then, yeah, I immediately realized, no, there's 4 of them. So ulting into him is not going to do too much. But I'm just going to sit inside of him anyway, waiting for the eventual fight. He gets a nice amplify damage up on the Weaver, which fortunately the Weaver uses her ult right away to get rid of. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it could be good for us, because the Weaver might not have her ult going into the next fight. Which hopefully will be happening in about 15 seconds here, once the Pudge and the Vengeful Spirit are back up and they can TP to this tower in all ideality. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of telling Slardar to go here because we kind of have to stall them. I turn around and start going the Shadow Fiend. The Shadow Fiend is my ideal target. Unfortunately, I don't realize that he has a Ghost Scepter, because I guess I'm just not used to seeing that in Shadow the Fiend, so I'm actually sitting there attacking the Shadow Fiend, not doing anything, which is a really big mistake. But yeah, I'm just not so used to seeing the Ghost Scepter in this game yet. Fortunately for us, the Shadow Fiend does blink into the woods, and that's going to lead to getting an easy pick off on him. Yeah, fail. Him saying it himself. So now, yeah, would like to kind of counter push here, although we don't have the Slardar, but they do still have one set of racks down, so we're not in a terrible position since they weren't able to actually break into our base there. Yeah, Pudge, I think both my teammates wanting to push, so I'm going to go with them. Shadow Fiend does buy back though, so I think I would just like to back up now because they have all 5 up and it's just the 3 of us. We don't have Slardar. Yeah, he's saying wait for Slardar, and I think I agree. Yep. Just want to kill this one last creep wave real quick because I'm greedy. And I can, thanks to a nicely placed Vengeful Spirit ward, can see them in base. Yeah, saying we can't push. Pudge, I guess, wants to set up a hook here on one of them with a nice vision from the ward. But I'm not even sure it would be that great if he did land a hook, because it's possible they would counter-initiate on him, and then we could be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, I see the creep wave coming top, but Slardar once again using Bat Rider. Fortunately, this time relatively intelligently to stop the creep wave there. Yeah, I think my team was trying to pick someone off there, but like I'm just saying, no, I really don't want them to try. Because again, it is just 2 or 3 of us against 5, which is not necessarily ideal, no matter how farmed we might be. Arrow flying in just barely misses the Pudge, but I know they see him there, so I want to come in case they try to blink in on him and initiate or something. But they don't, so it looks like we're safe. And now I want to go in. I'm going to charge in ahead of my team. I should turn my armlet on already. As soon as they start going on me, though, I use Rage immediately. Don't actually use my stun yet. Going to get over here and use the stun on the Shadow Fiend to make sure that we can lock him down and kill him. And so we get a nice early, quick 2 kills. Should have turned my armlet on as I was running in, but other than that, pretty much standard. As soon as I see the enemies turn towards me, I want to use Rage preemptively, just to make sure that they can't lock me down. Since I was ahead of my team, I don't really want to get blown up immediately. And then, yeah, just open wound someone that I'm trying to chase after and kill. Didn't feel the need to stun the first target because he was relatively low, or she was relatively low already, and I figured it was likely we would kill her with the amplified damage up. So it wasn't necessary. Pudge, yeah, going in and getting a nice hook on the Crystal Maiden. I'm just going to come in for a last hit on her. Fortunately, the gem showing us the Weaver. I'm going to, Rage to make sure that I get more hits off on him. And want to go after the Jakiro, but not really possible. I figure the Macro Pyre should disappear by now, so I'm just kind of standing in it. I'm not really used to the 7-second time rather than the 5. So I take a little bit of extra damage, so I probably shouldn't. I mean, even if we are in a strong lead here, there's really no reason to take extra damage. Slardar, nice blink in on the Jakiro. I'm basically just trying to land in open wounds to make it easier for my team to kill him, but he's actually quite tanky, so he's going to last for a little while, so I'm going to have to run in and then hit him. I don't bother using Rage, because I'm kind of short on mana at this point, especially with the high mana cost of the Abyssal Blade. I'd like to save as much mana as possible. Just going to come back and hit these, hit the racks here. Pudge calling out good game, which I guess is a pretty fair call. I mean, at 43 to 21, with them 2 racks down, it's likely we're going to kill them. And just look how fast people melt with the amplified damage and Desolator up on them. I didn't see if there was Vengeful Spirits, Howl of Terror, Wave of Terror. I'm not sure exactly what it's called there or not. But even just with amplified damage and Deso, it's going to be a ton of damage coming out. I still have the Aegis up on me, and I'm not sure how much longer until Roche respawns, so I just kind of want to burn it right away to continue this push. I'm just telling my team, yeah, I think to leave me, and so that we can go take this tower. We will be having to backdoor it, but I think we do enough damage now, especially with the Vengeful Spirit Aura. I mean, yeah, look, I'm hitting for like, what, almost 400? No, over 400. Can I really even count? Yeah, over 400 damage. Yeah, math maybe not my strong suit in the morning. So yeah, able to take down the tower despite the backdoor protection. And yeah, joking around because I realized that I have 9,000 gold here. I didn't have space for anything else before, which is why I don't have another item on me. I certainly don't need to have 9,000 gold. I mean, it's always good at this point in the game to save buyback money just in case, but certainly don't need 9,000 to buy back. And so I could have another item on me in addition to the gem. Pudge lands a nice hook on the Mirana, but not actually going to be able to kill her. The Jakiro turns around on me, so I'm just going to use the Abyssal Blade stun on him and start attacking him with Rage because he has spells, but it's not actually going to be enough to kill him. I didn't get a bash there, but I guess I can't complain too much. Landed open wounds on the Shadow Fiend, but this time I'm smart enough not to try attacking him through his Ghost Scepter, and then finally, once it's off, I turn back around and start hitting him with Rage and Armlet. Pudge dives into the tower a little bit too deep, but I mean at the point at which we're killing them in their fountain, I mean, the game's pretty much over. I see the creep wave over here, so I'm going to try to nuke it down quickly and regain some health by using my ultimate on it. Actually, 3 of them still up, and we're all at least half health and very low mana, so I want to run away. Although, if they try coming up this hill, yeah, here is a great spot to kind of stop and just attack them. I get a nice bash on the Mirana, so I'm going to be able to kill her. Slardar, nice blink and stun, and then a bash on the Jakiro as well, so we're going to be able to kill both of them. Yeah, spots like that are great spots to turn around because running up the hill, they probably have no vision, so they're not going to know you're waiting for them, and they assume that you're just running away. But if you can turn around and even just have 1 or 2 stuns, it's enough to kill 1 hero instantly, like happened there basically, and that completely turns around the dynamics of the fight. Want to buy a heart now. I figure I have a ton of damage, but only 2,300 health, which certainly nothing to sneeze at, but I mean, I should probably be a bit more tanky at this point. Plus, Heart's just a great item on basically any strength hero, and with Armlet, it's going to let me leave the Armlet on constantly when I'm outside of fights. I mean, I still have to... kind of have the hiccups or something here. I still have to turn it off and on when I'm actually in fights because the regen from Heart gets disabled, but at least when I'm just wandering around randomly, I can just leave it on, which is just one less thing to think about. And if you guys know anything about me, it's that I'm quite a lazy person. So going to grab my heart, which should boost me up to, yeah, a much more comfortable 3,000, basically 900 health with Armlet turned on. Should make it a little bit more difficult for them to kill me. and make it very easy to seal out this game. I mean, not that I don't think it's basically over at this point anyway, but never any reason to underestimate your opponents when you guys are playing 4 versus 5. Just a little bit greedy here, going to stop and kill these Ancients, but I'm waiting for Slarder and Pudge to come with me so that we can go push in top. Looks like Slarder using the Bat Rider in the middle again. This guy is something. But yeah, now 6,000 gold, easily enough to buy back, and we're going to be able to go hopefully push this top lane for the win. See Pudge actually wanting to kind of set up a gank here, and because I have the gem, I have to run with him in case we can see this Weaver. Weaver isn't down there, so it means she's up here. I see her. I'm going to throw open wounds on her and try to get up next to her. I think I wanted to stun with the Abyssal Blade there, but I was a little bit afraid of it. She's actually kiting me around a little bit with her ultimate, so I decided, okay, screw that. I'm not going to chase after her anymore. But then I see basically up there, it's just them, not us. So I don't really want to turn around and fight into that. Gonna go after the bottom now, realize which one's the correct one because she leaps, but then she gets away too. See the Jakiro here with amplified damage up on him, so gonna start hitting him. Want to go after the Shadow Fiend whenever possible. He blinks away, so just gonna turn around and go on the Mirana now, using the Abyssal Blade to get a stun and then a nice bash proc. See the 3 illusions here fighting the Slardar, so I'm gonna jump into him with the ult and then explode out, so it's easy to tell which one's the correct one, and then able to kill the Shadow Fiend as well. And with 3 of them down, we should be able to easily go take the space. Slardar blinks in to kill the Weaver, but their base is already down. So yeah, again, kind of a one-sided game, and I'm sorry about that. I mean, again, I'm sure you guys know well enough to know me well enough to know that I'm not intentionally cherry-picking games in which I go 26-0 or something like that. But I'd asked if I could do jungling carry heroes before, and someone said that that would be fine. And this was a good instance that had a lot of action from early on with a jungling carry hero who's not just farming, etc. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the game, and thanks for watching.